For more on our free agent frenzy, we bring in our NBA insider David Aldridge on the phone. DA, you broke the Amar'e news today. He's been in a New York state of mind lately, I guess it's fair to say. Had breakfast with Coach Mike D'Antoni Sunday morning. Went to owner James Dolan's 4th of July party last night. How were the Knicks able to lock him down without another player attached?
Well, Kyle, first of all, I appreciate you giving me the credit on that, but I think Yahoo had it also first, and I think a Knicks blogger may have had it over the weekend. So I don't take credit for stuff I don't break. So let's get that straight first of all. But as far as this happened, I mean, look, it was real simple. I mean, there's been all this talk about, how Amar'e's going to recruit other guys and how he wants to, be a catalyst to bring LeBron in. Here's what I was told: when the Knicks said $100 million, he was in. That's it. All the other stuff went by the wayside. When they came with the loot and said, we're going to give you 9 figures, and the discussion was over, he was a Knick. So whatever else happens is going to happen, in the next couple of days. But don't make any mistake. This was about $100 million that New York was willing to give him, whereas other teams were not going to probably give him that kind of a contract.
Yeah, money, I'm assuming, a pretty big factor. What does this move potentially mean for David Lee, an all-star who wants to be paid as well?
Well, I think it's going to be difficult for him to get paid in New York. Obviously, as we've been saying all along, if the Knicks go for 2 max-level free agents, they can't re-sign David Lee. It just doesn't work. The numbers just don't work. So it's much more likely, I think, now that David Lee gets his payday elsewhere, and he will get a payday. I don't think there's any question about that, Kyle. I mean, you look at his numbers and his age, I think all of those things factor in. He's going to get a nice payday from somebody because I can't see the Knicks coming back to their fans and saying, here is what we spent 2 years of losing and bleeding and being horrible for to bring in this, Amar'e Stoudemire and bring back David Lee. There's going to have to be another shoe that drops from free agency or from trades for this to make any sense at all to New York fans.
Yeah, David, that's what I was going to ask about the free agency via and trade. How willing are the New York Knicks to do those extra things? Say, for instance, LeBron James passes on them. What's the next step? What are the steps in the process for the Knicks to get better?
Well, I think Eric. I think they have to wait on LeBron first. If they don't get LeBron, I don't think Bosh makes a whole lot of sense for them now. Certainly, Boozer doesn't make any sense now that you have Stoudemire in. Even if you think Stoudemire can play center, maybe I should caveat that a little bit. Maybe you think Amar'e can play center and you bring one of those guys in. It would seem to me, though, that this team would need, if Gallinari is going to play a lot of minutes at the 4, I would think, next year anyway. So they need a point guard or a scoring guard. I mean, they need everything, but I think then you're maybe looking at the trade route. I mean, there just aren't a whole lot of great 2 guards that are available in free agency. I think at that point you're looking at, they take Eddie Curry's expiring contract, and see what's out there. Could they get maybe a Rip Hamilton from Detroit? Now, I don't have any information that they are. I'm just speculating as to the type of players they may have to bring in. But Rip Hamilton would make a lot of sense simply because he is such an active player, and he would, I think, in that regard, fit in really well with Mike D'Antoni's system. But a player like that would certainly be somebody I think they'd have to look at.
DA, today was the day that LeBron initially said that he'd like to have a decision made. That obviously has changed. He now says that he won't announce his plans until after his annual basketball camp in Akron. What's the timetable on LeBron's decision in your estimation?
Oh, I think it'll be Wednesday or Thursday. I mean, I think Wednesday makes sense at the end of camp before the Vegas Summer League starts, because certainly I don't think, with everybody going out to Vegas starting Wednesday and Thursday, it's not that it would be difficult to get a deal done. I mean, you can obviously get people on the phone, but it would just be easier to get everything lined up on Wednesday, let teams know which way you're leaning, so that they can then go to Vegas with somewhat of a clear mind as to what they're going to do. Obviously, if Chicago doesn't get LeBron, it has to move rather quickly on Bosh and someone, or Wade or some of these other guys, and vice versa. Miami, the same thing. So, and Cleveland, the same thing. So they all, and New Jersey, I should add. So they all have to make their plans because a lot of things get done during the summer league. A lot of trades get done, and you don't want that hanging over your head. So I think he makes his decision on Wednesday and announces it one way or another, Wednesday afternoon or Wednesday evening.
D.A., my question is, say, for instance, LeBron James goes back to Cleveland, like I hope, but how do they improve? What are they telling him that they'll do to improve? And that in the same division, say, for instance, you have Wade and Bosh both join the Chicago Bulls.
Right.
Well, he could possibly not be the best team in his division.
That they're looking at, one is Brendan Haywood, the center from Dallas. The other is Ray Allen. That's another name. I mean, I think they have a lot of names on their list, but those are two guys that I think they really feel like could come in and help them. And if you think about their problems in the last two postseasons, making shots, they've had a real problem making open shots. And certainly a guy like Ray Allen, even at 35 years of age, is certainly still capable of making shots, especially if he's playing off of a guy like LeBron who's going to draw double teams. So that's the kind of thing I think they're looking at. Certainly a team with LeBron, they feel like they're close. With the group that they had last year, no matter what happened in the playoffs, they did win 61 in the regular season. So they feel like they are a championship contending team that needs to make a couple of changes. So you bring in a couple of veteran guys that still have a little tread on their tires, and maybe you do the improving from within, and you think that's how you get over the hump. So that's what I think the direction they're looking in terms of surrounding LeBron with enough good players to get over the top. There's no question in my mind Delonte West won't be there next year. I don't think Shaq's going to be there next year. I don't think Ilgauskas is going to be there next year. They need a center that can give them some defensive presence, get back to the way they were playing a couple of years ago, and they need somebody that can shoot the ball. And certainly Ray Allen, of all the people that are out there, is the best shooter on the board.
D.A., some sources are saying that the Atlanta Hawks are interested in possibly bringing Shaquille O'Neal aboard. Is there some substance to this, and does it make sense for the Hawks?
There is some substance to it. I would put the caveat. I've had two people tell me that these talks are preliminary, and one thing is set in stone. The Hawks are not going to move Al Horford to power forward. It's not going to happen. They're happy with Al, very happy with Al. He's an all-star center. They are not interested in, they do not think he has to move to power forward. So whether they bring in Shaq and they're looking at other people as well, like Ilgauskas and Brad Miller and some other folks, there's an interest in Shaq, yes. But the interest is not for him to come in and start at center next year. So I think that that's something that could happen down the road. It's possible, sure. But I don't think anything is imminent. I don't think this is something that's going to happen this week, maybe even next week. I think this is a down-the-road situation for the Hawks that, in terms of improving their team. And the reason why I'm wondering is because I've talked to Shaq a lot, and I know Shaq does not view himself as a bench guy. He thinks he can still start for another year or two and can help out in some ways, but as a starter. So I would be surprised if he came to a situation where he was splitting minutes with Zaza Pachulia.